The Cheers to That podcast, proudly brought to you by drinklab.org.
All right, everyone, you know what time it is. Time for another deep dive. And let me tell you, this one is coming in hot. We are talking about the jam donut shot.
Interesting.
Which, if you haven't heard, is this like crazy popular 2-ingredient drink. I mean, it's blowing up all over the internet.
Is that right?
Yeah, seriously. Articles are calling it the drink of the summer. There's recipes everywhere you look. Even the New Yorker's talking about it, HBO, Jennifer Garner, everybody.
So what gives? Why all the hype over, well, a shot?
That's exactly what we're diving into today. So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. This should be fun.
Okay, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break down this recipe. You know, just in case someone out there hasn't had these pleasure.
The pleasure.
So basically, every recipe we found uses the same, like, two things. Chambord, which is a raspberry liqueur.
Like that fancy raspberry schnapps kind of thing.
And then a nice layer of Bailey's Irish cream on top.
Okay.
Boom. That's it. 2 ingredients.
Leaving it simple.
I used to think that layering shots was like for expert mixologists only, you know.
Right.
But it actually comes down to this density thing.
Yeah, it's science.
Which, like, who knew?
Yeah.
The Bailey's, obviously, it's lighter, so it floats on the Chambord, which is heavier.
That's right. It's pretty cool. And you can, like, use that in other drinks, too, that whole specific gravity thing. Each ingredient has its own, and it determines how it mixes with other liquids.
So it's like understanding this one shot is like a crash course in layering any cocktail. This is already blowing my mind.
And to make that perfect layered look, the trick is to use a spoon. Pour the Baileys slowly over the back of a spoon, and it'll spread out nice and even without messing up the Chambord.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a magic trick, except you get to drink it.
Right.
Speaking of drinking it, people are saying that this simple combo really does taste like a jelly donut.
That's the idea.
But, like, how is that even possible?
Well, if you think about it, raspberries and cream, it's a classic, right? Like a match made in dessert heaven. It's like our brains are hardwired to connect those flavors with sweet treats.
Donuts.
Donuts.
It's like that Pavlov's dog thing, right?
Yeah.
You hear raspberry and cream, your brain's like, ooh, give me that delicious treat. And suddenly you're craving a donut. But it can't just be the flavors, right?
You're right. The texture is important, too. You've got that smooth, creamy Baileys playing off that tart raspberry, just like, you know, a good donut filling would.
You know, one thing I did see was someone using RumChata instead of Bailey's.
Interesting.
And apparently that's actually what they used on that HBO show, Camping. Some people are even saying that's how this whole thing got started.
Ah, the camping connection. Yeah, I read that New Yorker article you mentioned. They talked about how the show called it a, like, jelly donut shot.
Yeah.
No fancy name or anything, just straight up jelly donut shot, and people loved it.
It's wild how something like that, one little mention on a popular show, can have such a big impact.
It really is.
Makes you think about, like, the power of media and how it shapes what we drink, huh?
For sure, but it's usually not that simple.
Right.
Remember the whole cosmopolitan thing after Sex and the City? Or like way back when everyone was drinking wine coolers in the 80s, these trends always seem to tap into something bigger, you know?
Yeah.
Like a desire to be cool, or maybe they reflect how things are changing.
I see. So it's not just the drink itself, but what it, like, represents.
Right.
In this case, with this shot, what do you think that is?
Well, it's got to be the simplicity for one. I mean, 2 ingredients, easy to make at home, and everyone's really into making cocktails themselves these days, you know?
Yeah.
Plus, it's a familiar flavor, maybe even a little nostalgic for some people. And you gotta admit, when you see those layers,
Yeah.
it just screams Instagrammable.
So true.
You know it.
Like that perfect layered shot is just begging for a filter. Speaking of presentation, there's actually a bunch of cool variations on the classic recipe if you want to get fancy.
Oh, I'm always down for a good twist. What did you find?
Okay, so one source suggested doing a sugar rim.
Nice.
You know, really sell that whole donut thing.
Yeah, like that little sprinkle of sugar you get on a fresh donut.
And it's not just for looks, right?
No, you're right. It adds another layer to the experience. We've talked about taste and how it looks, but that little crunch from the sugar, it changes the whole thing.
And if sugar's not enough, get this, a chocolate rim.
Oh, wow, that's decadent.
I know. For all the chocolate and raspberry fans out there, talk about doubling down on the sweetness.
Intense.
But then, and this is where it gets kind of crazy,
Okay.
they suggested adding a pinch of salt to the rim, too.
Wait, what? Salt.
I know, right?
With the sugar.
Yeah. It sounds weird, I know, but apparently a little salt can really make the sweetness pop even more. It's like that whole sweet and salty thing.
That's wild.
Right.
It's true, though. That balance of flavors can really change how you taste something.
It's like a flavor adventure. And then rims weren't enough. They were suggesting syrup drizzles, too. Chocolate, strawberry, you name it.
Wow, okay.
I know, right? Drizzling syrup on top.
A drizzle of syrup just adds another layer of flavor, but it also looks really cool. You've got that swirl of red from the Chambord, then the Baileys, and then a delicate drizzle on top. It's like art.
We've gone from a simple 2-ingredient shot to a full-on cocktail experience. And that got me thinking, this idea of making it your own, of customizing, it's bigger than just drinks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it's a whole thing now.
Totally.
It's like this little shot is tapping into something bigger. It's like our need to personalize everything, you know?
Absolutely. Taking something familiar and making it your own.
Yeah.
It's about creating something personal that you can still share with others.
Which, when you think about it, is what a good cocktail's all about.
They should,
right?
exactly.
It's a conversation starter, something fun to share with friends.
Totally.
And this shot, because it's so simple and easy to change up, it's perfect for that.
You got that right.
It's amazing to me how something so straightforward can make people so creative.
Yeah.
You know, both in how they make it and how they enjoy it.
Totally. It's really cool.
See, this is what I love about these deep dives. We start with something that seems, well, basic. A 2-ingredient shot. Who knew?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we're down this rabbit hole of flavor, culture, psychology.
Connecting the dots.
Yes.
Figuring out the why behind the what.
And speaking of why, let's circle back to our original question.
Yeah.
Why this shot? Why is the jam donut shot having this moment?
Good question. I think it might be that we want things to be a little simpler these days. You know, those little moments of joy, the easy kind.
Yeah.
The world can be pretty complicated, right? But when you find something familiar, delicious, and easy to share.
It's comforting.
Yeah, exactly.
Comforting. And, you know, we shouldn't forget about that shared experience.
Yeah.
This isn't a drink you sip on by yourself. You know what I mean?
Totally. It's a let's toast
Yeah.
kind of drink.
Yes. You laugh together, make memories.
Yeah,
It's social.
100%.
So if this super basic 2-ingredient shot can be all that, a trend and inspiration, I think I'm ready for my own jam donut shot experience.
Right. Let's do it.
Cheers to the simple things, to friends, and to a good drink, right?
Veggie.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's almost like a recipe for going viral, you know?
Right.
Like, all the ingredients are there, but it's still kind of a mystery how it all comes together.
It's true, though. You can't just force these things. It's like you need the right drink at the right time, and then boom. It's easy to make at home, which is huge these days. Everyone wants to be a mixologist.
So true. Plus that flavor combo, who doesn't love raspberries and cream?
It's classic, comforting even, maybe a little nostalgic.
And don't even get me started on how good those layers look in photos.
Oh, 100%. That's Instagram gold right there.
Seriously.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to uncomplicated pleasures, to good company, and to the power of a well-crafted drink.
Here we
Get the jam donut shot recipe for free at drinklab.org.